Joining us now in Studio B, senior writer for ESPN, college football insider and expert, Ivan Maisel. Ivan, welcome to Studio B.
Thank you, Spencer. Delighted to be here.
What's your overall reaction to this BYU Football Media Day hullabaloo today?
It's really remarkable, the scope of everything y'all are doing. I'm delighted you're here. You want to talk about the 150th anniversary of college football, but just everything that the team, the players, the coaches, that everybody's here, and it's remarkable to me that it's only 72 days. You know, and I'm so glad y'all keep pumping that number.
Yeah, we count down every day, and we've been doing it for a long time. So I wish it was 2, but 72 is
72 is not bad.
207.
When you start at 248 or whatever we started at.
Man, I'm stressed thinking about that. Yeah, I'm glad it's 7. You're right. 72 is not bad. BYU is the only team in the country to start with 4 Power 5 teams this year. That's certainly going to be a challenge with Utah, at Tennessee, USC, and Washington. What does BYU
Thanks,
need
Tom.
To do? Yeah. Trust me, I'm that guy going, whoa, what? What does BYU need to do to make a splash in the first 4?
Well, I'm thinking of it was a year where Florida State played 5 teams on the road in the, I think, late 70s, and they went 3-2, and people and we remember it. So obviously the fact that the Utes are first and that it's the great rivalry and they are a Pac-12, at least South favorite, I think that game's really important. But any of the, splitting those games, I think, is good. If you can come out 3-1, it's really good.
Whoa, yeah.
And 4-0, that you'd have to, hold everybody back.
So of those first 4, which would you say is the toughest opponent for BYU? And then which is the most winnable game, in your opinion, on paper?
I think the toughest game's the first one because nobody sneaks up on anybody. And Utah is expected to be very good. To me, I sort of think people have been telling Utah for 7 months now how good they're going to be this year. So that, to me, is advantage BYU. And the fact that BYU ended as strongly as it did and has so much coming back, there's a lot to like about BYU. But to me, that's the 4 games are it's fun to talk about, but that's a really important one. In terms of winning, Tennessee's kind of like BYU, really got better over the course of last season, and that's a tough place to play. But listen, this team went into Camp Randall last year and did just fine. So USC, USC plays Stanford the week before this, which is a big emotional game in that league. That's a help to BYU, I think. And UW they're rebuilding a little bit. So, I think there's possibilities every week.
Obviously, being at ESPN, the power of ESPN, and BYU's had this connection with ESPN and hopes to continue that with the contract. BYU's meant something in college football's history, as we'll explore coming up in the show this afternoon. But hopefully BYU can add more to that. But what has BYU meant to college football and its history, especially the passing game?
Oh, wow. When you think of passing game, who do you think of? Historically, you think of Lavelle Edwards, you think of the run of quarterbacks, and there's what's remarkable is passing is such an integral part of the game now, and we're really just talking the last 50 years. I mean, the pass existed as a weapon, but the old guard coaches didn't really trust it, and I think the greatest contribution BYU gave the game, and Lavelle specifically, was making it I don't know if legitimate's the right word, but giving it credence and credibility. And that, I think, is immeasurable.
On hot summer days when we're bored, we'll just pull up, 80s film, and we'll just shed a little tear of Jim McMahon and Steve Young, and it's just beautiful. Right?
And Robbie Bosco. And
all the guys.
There's a lot of truth to that.
There's too many guys to name, in fact.
On day 173.
Yes.
Oh,
you need something to keep
Mark
you
Wilson.
going. Ivan Maisel of ESPN with us on BYU Sports Nation. We are fascinated by TV rights and the potential that there could be another major shakeup in college football. the closer we get to that 2023, 2024 time when conference TV rights get renewed and all
Don't
that
expand
stuff.
the playoff.
Yeah. What's that?
Don't expand the playoff. Yeah.
And we'll follow up on that.
Yeah.
In your very educated opinion in this sport, when is it most likely to have a conference shakeup, if at all?
Oh, well, that's a good question. The math is very easy because of the number of Power 5 teams. Everybody goes, well, we're going to go to 4 16-team conferences. Of course, yeah. Do the math. Well, the math is the only thing promoting that at this point. I think the Pac-12 is beginning to do its negotiations, and that's going to be very interesting. They're talking about selling a portion of their proceeds to an investment group, an investment bank, a portion of their revenue, sort of a cash grab now. But what would be the long-term consequences of that? I have no idea. I'm a sports writer. But it seems like we were going to look back on the last 10 years with the last 7 or 8 years with a degree of fondness for the calm that's settled over the land in the next go-around of negotiations. The ACC is set up for a long time. The SEC is set up, I think, for a long time. So I think if anything happens, it's going to be on this end of the country. And I'm not smart enough to know what that will be.
We just hope BYU is involved.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Let's finish with this, and I told you I wanted to follow up on this. Why not expand the college football playoff beyond 4?
I think there's a beauty in having 5 Power 5 conference champions and only 4 slots. Now, nobody that's not a Power 5 team wants to hear that. And to me, the only and best criteria or best reason to expand it is to guarantee the non-Power 5 groups a spot. And I think that to me that's the only thing I would say, okay, you got a point. But what I love about it is that winning your conference championship is not a good enough criteria to get you into the playoff. You got to be better than that. And I think that the tension that we feel beginning week 1 with who are the 4 going to be, all that goes out the window. And, Ohio State, Michigan, if they're both in the top 8, then what are they playing for? Alabama, Auburn, same thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I worry about.
Ivan, great to talk to you. Thanks for coming into Studio B. We look forward to the 150-year special coming up.
Thank you. Love to be here.
Thanks. Appreciate it.